Trudeau versus India. It's a story that is writing itself. Every day we see an escalation. Canada's defense of Khalistani terror, India's firm rejection of Trudeau's charges and his politics. This has now reached global forums. It was brought up at the United Nations General Assembly. India's External Affairs Minister Jaishankar addressed world leaders. He said political convenience must not determine responses to terrorism. Without naming Canada, he called them out. Later in the day, he spoke at another event on the sidelines, and this time he was far more direct. Listen to this.
Our concern is that, it's really been very permissive because of political reasons. And, a lot of this is often justified as saying, well, that's how democracies work.
Classic Jaishankar does not mince his words, his tone is even and his message unambiguous. He said Canada is harboring extremists because it suits their politics. And it is this politics that is driving Canada's agenda, not any commitment to democratic values. It's unfortunate that this has to be said over and over again because Justin Trudeau's motivations are quite obvious. A textbook example of vote bank politics and justifying terrorism as freedom of expression. It's been more than a week since he spoke in Parliament. What has followed is more accusations and selective leaks. No proof, though. What is Trudeau's biggest charge against India? That there's an Indian hand in the killing of a Khalistani terrorist in Canada. Trudeau says his allegations are credible and India must cooperate in the probe. Does that mean India is not cooperating? At least that seems to be the implication. Well, here is India's response.
We told the Canadians saying that, look, if you have something specific, if you have something relevant, let us know. We are open to looking at it.
If you have something specific or relevant, show us. It sounds like a fair argument. If Canada does have these so-called credible inputs, why is it shy of sharing them? The killing happened in the month of June. Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar was shot dead in Canada. India calls him a designated terrorist. Canada calls him a plumber, a citizen and a Sikh activist. He was killed in June. 3 months later, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau raised his death, and that too in the Canadian Parliament. Must have been a high-profile plumber. Trudeau accused India of ordering the hit. India called the charge absurd. You know what else is absurd? Ottawa's charge of foreign interference, and this predates the current diplomatic dispute. Canada raised this in June. Trudeau's national security advisor issued a statement. Her name is Jodie Thomas. She was at a conference, and this is what she said, and I'm quoting, India is among the top sources of foreign interference in Canada. India is among the top sources of foreign interference in Canada. Jaishankar has spoken about this too. He said Canada is the one that interferes in Indian politics.
So we have a situation where actually our diplomats are threatened. Our consulates have been attacked. And often comments are made about, there's interference in our politics.
He's talking about Khalistani terrorists. They want to break up India, and Canada is harboring and shielding them. Khalistanis have launched campaigns against India and its political leadership. They're targeting Indian missions and temples. Why is Canada supporting them? Is the Trudeau government a friend of Khalistanis? One of his ministers was asked this question. He rejected the charge, and this was last week. Now India has weighed in.
We have actually been badgering the Canadians. We've given them a lot of information about organized crime leadership, which operates out of Canada. There are a large number of extradition requests. There are terrorist leaders who have been identified.
Intelligence, information, extradition requests, India has given all of this, but Ottawa refuses to act.
We cannot bend the rules of state-to-state relations for political expediency, because we've seen and continue to see the extent to which democracies are under threat through various means of foreign interference.
That's Bob Rae, Canada's ambassador to the United Nations. His statement is being seen as a dig at India. But after getting off the podium, he took a completely different tone. He said he's discussed the Nijjar case with his Indian counterparts and that there is, quote unquote, scope for diplomacy. Well, as they say, there's always scope for diplomacy, but Canada's selective leaks are not helping. The Washington Post has released a new report. It has a video that shows Nijjar's killing. At least 6 men and 2 vehicles were involved. The report says the attackers fired 50 bullets, 50. 34 of them hit Nijjar. The terrorist was killed outside a Gurudwara. A security camera there captured the shooting. When did the local police respond? Apparently, they were slow to arrive. There was disagreement between agencies, which led to further delays. The probe is still on. Meanwhile, the Speaker of Canada's Parliament has resigned. This is over the Nazi controversy. They gave a standing ovation to a war veteran. He turned out to be a Nazi. Trudeau, being Trudeau, said it was not his fault. So the Speaker is a fall guy.